Once upon a time, the king of Babylon, Namrud, who was fearsome and mean, woke up from a nightmare in cold sweat and with a horrifying scream. He commanded dream experts to tell the meaning, but they were afraid to obey, for the meaning of this dream they knew would horrify the king with no delay. So the dream interpreters kept beating around the bush and began to mutter, as the meaning of the dream would madden the king and was dangerous to utter. But finally, a brave interpreter named Azar, who also worked in the mean king's court, decided to help out his trembling friends, took a deep breath, and came forth. He said, "Your Majesty, with all due respect, your dream has come as a sign that a boy will be born who will someday end your reign." The king's eyes popped out, his jaw dropped, and his evil mind started to plan. He would never let a baby boy who might end his reign live and grow up to a man. When Waraka heard the news, she grew as terrified as any mom can be, for Namrud's soldiers were inspecting every pregnant woman and baby. And so, like other expecting moms and dads, fear had replaced Waraka's joy. As the news had it, Namrud's soldiers were trying to find and kill every baby boy. So when it was almost time for her to give birth, Waraka ran away. And Allah showed her a safe place where for some time she could stay. Waraka trusted in Allah. She was faithful, and so she was brave. And Allah helped her give birth to her baby boy safely in a cave. But Waraka couldn't stay away for long because it would raise suspicion. If soldiers learned she had had a boy, they would complete their evil mission. So leaving her baby boy hidden in the cave was the best thing Waraka could do. Every day, she secretly returned to feed him, and slowly, little Ibrahim grew. By the time Ibrahim was old enough and in the city could safely stay, his uncle Azar had become his guardian as his father had passed away. It could have been wonderful to have a wise and loving uncle, but unfortunately, Ibrahim's uncle was a maker and worshiper of idols. Every day, he bowed down to statues that he had made and given a name. And what was worse was that he tried to make young Ibrahim do the same. But Ibrahim wouldn't obey his uncle in this, for he was a worshiper of God. And in his religion, worshiping anyone but the Creator was not allowed. He cared for the people in his town too, and for them he was concerned, for they gave away to lifeless and useless idols much of what they had earned. So he decided to send a message that can be heard by every woman and man, to get them to think and then perhaps be guided. Ibrahim made a clever plan. One day, when his idol-worshipping people went up the mountains to celebrate, Ibrahim stayed behind to carry out his clever plan before it was too late. He took an axe to the temple with idols and broke and smashed every single one. except the biggest idol, in which he left his axe. And then his job was done. Now there was nothing left to do for Ibrahim but to go back home and wait for when the people would see the scene and the outrage it would surely create. When the people returned from the festival and saw the idol temple, they became furious. How dare anyone take an axe and smash their wooden and stone gods into a million pieces? "Who did this?" yelled the furious people. "Now we are all doomed," they screamed. Some said it must have been the young man who didn't believe in them. It must have been Ibrahim. So they rushed to drag Ibrahim out of his home, carrying their sticks and rods. "Oh, you will pay such a heavy price for doing what you did to our gods." "You think I crushed the idols? Are you sure it was me? I wonder what you mean," said Ibrahim. "Why, it must have been the job of the biggest idol with an axe on his shoulder at the scene. Now let go of me and go ask the big idol itself if your accusation is just and true." They were taken by surprise and said, "You know talking is not something our gods can do." So Ibrahim eyed them with the most scornful eyes and let the understanding sink in. And he said, "You've been worshipping these speechless and powerless idols. What were you thinking?" The people were struck and had nothing to say back. But their king had an evil plan. He would make a huge fire and then he would throw in this daring young man. Upon the king's order, a fire was made, so big that it would terrify every living creature, except Ibrahim, who knew his God is the most powerful of all, and so he had no fear. He quietly prayed and said things like, "Ya Allah, on your mercy and might I depend. Please help me be patient and satisfied with your will, no matter how things may end. For though this fire can instantly turn to ashes the toughest trees and seeds, there is surely no pain greater than the burning caused by one's own evil deeds." Ibrahim was young, and he was alone, yet in his heart he felt strong, for he knew Allah would help him in the end, as he had done nothing wrong. Then the king's soldiers took Ibrahim, who was faithful and free from fault. They tied him up and threw him up toward the fire, using a huge catapult. The people all looked on in fear as young Ibrahim was thrown up higher and higher. And they all gasped in suspense when they saw him land right in the middle of the fire. They expected Ibrahim to be burned to ashes immediately after his fall. But can you guess what happened to him? Nothing. Nothing at all. Allah had cooled the fire for his faithful servant to be safe from harm. As Ibrahim softly prayed now, his face was peaceful, with no sign of alarm. The people now saw how Allah the Almighty can make miracles come true, something that all their false gods and idols would never be able to do. Seeing this, the king was so mad. His ears were giving off steam. He now understood Ibrahim was the boy who ended his reign in the dream. For people were now gathered around Ibrahim to learn all about his God. And he was preaching religion without any fear, in a calm and clear voice aloud. The people now realized he was a prophet and would be their best guide. Ibrahim told them how boundless God's mercy is, and from him none can hide.